Hey guys, today we're going to talk about fencing for our chickens, why we do it, and what are the alternatives. Coming up next. So one of the most frequently asked questions is about our fencing, how we keep our chickens, ducks, and turkeys in, and how we keep predators out. No joke, we have literally answered that question every day for the last 2 weeks. So I thought we would make a video about it, talk about what we do, what we used to do, and why we don't do what some other people do. So what did we used to do? For that, we've got to come over here. All right, so let's go in the Wayback Machine to 2016. That's when we first got chickens. And we had this building right here. This was just an outbuilding that just had some junk in it. And we cleaned it out. It already had a hole right here. And we just put a little slider on it. And voila, we had an exit door for the chickens to get out into an area. But this area didn't exist. Our concept of housing chickens was a coop and a run. Building a static coop, a stationary area where the chickens would be fenced in, protected, and we wouldn't have to worry about them all day. They could lay their eggs, they could come out here, and done and done. Two problems with that. The first problem was on top of the run. We of course had the fencing around the sides, and we put some netting, really pretty fragile, but we thought, that'll keep all the aerial predators out. It'll keep the hawks and the owls, things like that out. But what we didn't think would happen, happened, and that was a raccoon. A raccoon got in here one night, was on top. It actually broke through the netting, and it was summer, and we left that door open. We were thinking, oh, the chickens will just come in and out, no big deal, we'll just give them access to that. In the morning when the chickens came out, and there was a raccoon waiting for them, and the raccoon got 4 of our flock when we only had about 20 birds. And that was pretty traumatic for us. So the first thing we did, we put some welded wire on top. We also put some metal sheeting for shade. And then the second problem happened, and that was too many birds in a small area, and that killed all of the grass. This all used to be grass, and now with the shade here, and we typically raise birds in this area, now we can't get much grass to grow back. But there was a positive to this, and that's given us a safe area to raise our chicks, our ducklings, our turkey poults right in here, because they're completely surrounded by fencing. They're protected in here. We don't have to worry about any hawks or eagles or anything flying over and swiping them. So this has been a great place to start our birds in. Don't know if we had a chance to tell you guys, we had some more turkeys that hatched this week. We have the 3 turkeys in there, and this week we had 5 more little Royal Palm turkeys hatched. And these of course were from our Royal Palm pair that we sold, but we put some of their eggs under a chicken. She sat on these eggs and she hatched out these turkeys. Isn't that cool? Yep. But then we found out about electric fencing, specifically Premier 1 electric fencing. Let's talk about that. So this fencing right here is from Premier 1. They're a company in Iowa. As far as I can tell, they are the best company for mobile electric fencing. And I'll tell you, they didn't sponsor any of this. They haven't provided us any type of fencing, but I will go to bat for them because they provide a superior product and their customer service is pretty outstanding. So this poultry netting right here is called 12-48-3. And those numbers all mean something. The 12 is how many strands are horizontally going up. 48 is the amount of inches tall it is, so it's 4 feet tall, and 3 is the number of inches between each vertical strand. As far as I know, this is the biggest netting they make for poultry. That's important because we wanted, one, the biggest fence we could get to give them the biggest amount of space at a time, and some of the birds, especially when they're younger, will try to jump out. So this taller net typically deters that from happening. I actually had a duck, we have a young Muscovy duck that actually flew out this morning, and I had to clip one of its wings, but as soon as I did that, it hasn't done it since, and it won't do it again. Now, if you do happen to buy Premier 1 netting, I do recommend the double spike. They do make a single spike, but it is much more difficult to get this in the ground if the ground is not soft. Where this double spike, if it's out, you can just put your foot on top and push it down. It's a little bit extra. I want to say it's like $10 extra, and it is worth every penny. So the next thing to consider is length. How much of an area do you want to keep your poultry in? Now over here where we've got 164 feet on the other two chicken runs, over here we've got two 164 foot lengths. So over here it gives us a massive area for these chickens. Now the only problem with that is that they eat all of the grass that they're given access to. Once they do that, we've got to move them somewhere else. So we've got to leave somewhere where we can move them to give them access to new grass so they don't kill all of the grass in that area. This is where the turkeys were previously, and we moved them right over there. So now we're letting this area rest, and we can move the chickens over here next. All right, so we talked about electric fence, why we use it, the dimensions, the length. The next thing, let's talk about the charger. So on our main run, we have a standalone charger. It's powered up right here, and it plugs in right in here to an outlet. So this one is dramatically cheaper than these solar powered chargers because it's just plugged into electrical. And this is pretty sweet because it has a ton of settings. You can run it off a battery. It has a turtle, has day setting and night setting. It has a rabbit, which is its fastest setting, meaning it will shock about every 2 seconds, I believe. Now the nice thing about the lights right here is that it'll show you if this is grounding out. So I moved the electrical and I moved it onto another grounding rod. And so now it doesn't show full power. So right now it is grounding out because the black and white strand is touching the ground right there. So we need to pull this tighter, and that will allow us to get electricity all the way around the fencing. So the next option that's not a plug-in charger is the solar charger. And we've got the Solar IntelliShock 60. So this is a great option if you are not close to any electricity and you just want to run some animals out in a field somewhere. You have a battery inside here. You've got a positive and negative. The negative is on a grounding rod right underneath here. And then you've got your charge going right into the fence right there. And you just push this button and then it gives you a flash and it tells you right here if it's getting fully charged or if it's losing power. So the next cool thing about Premier One specifically is their customer service. So we did use this electric charger over at a shop where we didn't have access to any electrical outlets last year. We used it there all year for our meat chickens and our meat turkeys. And at one point throughout the year we tested it, and I highly recommend getting some type of electrical tester. I got this really cheap somewhere. I'll try to find it and I'll link it down in the description. But basically you just put this down on the ground for a grounding rod, put this on here. But the good news is that it's working. Because last year it was putting out a shock, but it wasn't sending it through the wires. We tried to troubleshoot it with Premier One over the phone. We weren't able to get anything working, and so they had us send it in. They fixed it for no charge and sent it right back. It was pretty awesome. While we don't want our chickens getting in the garden, they still know to hang close by when we're in here so they can get some leftover treats.
We have electric fence around our garden. It's not usually electrified, but it's just a protective border around our garden to keep these guys out so they don't think it's our litter box, right? It also keeps the kids out from picking all my vegetables before I can get out here before them. But we can hook it up to our other fence and electrify it if we needed to, but we have not had an issue with predators that get in here at all. So we just have it around the garden and it keeps everybody out.
So lastly, I want to talk about the alternative. Free ranging. Is it cruel that we keep them in a fenced area that they can't get out and do whatever they want, whenever they want, wherever they want? You know, for a long time it was our goal, and we still have a hope that we have a farm, a homestead, where we have plenty of room where we can let our chickens just roam free. We truly desire that. But I'll tell you what, we have heard so many stories from people that we have sold chickens to. Occasionally we sell some of our chickens. We do like getting chickens. We like hatching out chickens, and occasionally we've got to sell some chickens. And everybody that we've sold chickens to, when I ask them if they've had chickens before, and they've said yes, they all died to some kind of predator because they were out free ranging. So while I love the idea of free ranging, chickens have very little ways to defend themselves. One is their rooster. Come on, buddy, crow for me. So having our birds inside this fencing here, we don't have to worry about them. We did have a pullet, a young chicken once, that escaped through this electric fencing when we first moved them in here, and they got taken by a fox when it got down just into the field beyond this fence right here. He's chasing a barred rock because that's his favorite breed. For some reason, he really likes the black and white speckled birds. And who's this?
Barred rock.
Why do you like the barred rocks?
Because they had white and black.
Cool. They lay a lot of eggs, don't they?
Mhm.
Do you know what color eggs they lay?
I know. Blue eggs?
Brown.
Brown?
Brown eggs.
What chicken was blue eggs?
Or Americanas or Easter eggers. I'd love to hear from you. What do you guys do? Do you do a coop? Do you do an attached run? Do you give your chickens the option of electric fencing where you can move them or at least keep them out in an open area? Do you free range your birds? Has that worked out well for you? Or have you lost some birds to predators? I would love to hear all of that. And if you do some other option that I haven't thought of or didn't mention, please let me know that as well. I'd definitely love to hear about other ways to keep your birds and keep them safe. So I hope that was helpful for you. We really enjoy our birds. We really enjoy everything that they provide us, from their entertainment, from their eggs, on our meat birds, the meat they provide. But it wouldn't be possible without a coop to secure them in and this electric fencing to keep them happy during the day, but to keep them safe from predators. So guys, please keep asking questions. We'd love to talk more about why we do what we do. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.